Hello everyone. So today we are going to cover Swagger in detail. What are the various features and how you can document RESTful APIs in your microservice. I have the code open. So we'll cover in detail step-by-step instructions about how to implement it. Okay, so to start, I have a code which is a service, which is this service, which is a e-commerce store application, and in that I have code where we have a catalog service which has product details. So let me switch to the directory code. Then here we have chapter 4, and then we have store. So I'm inside this project directory. In this project directory, we have various files. I'll also show how to implement security, no, in the webhook, how to implement the documentation, which is Swagger documentation for webhook style applications. So here, let me introduce you to the different classes we have in this service. So we have a product class. Product class is used to demonstrate OpenAPI, and in OpenAPI specification is a standard which is now followed for documenting RESTful APIs. Earlier it was it was called Swagger. It is now supporting full JSON schema 2012. We'll see what does this mean. We will cover what are the validations which are supported, and what are the new changes in OpenAPI 4.1, which is mostly about clear validations and semantics, like having an exclusive minimum, and you have more data types, nullable handling, and there are rich descriptions, read-only properties, etc. So here we have entity class, which we have seen in previous sessions, that we have used Lombok for reducing the boilerplate code. And now we have this schema uh, property, which also includes an example. So yeah, there are some suggestions. For example, it's suggesting that few of the inputs are not used. Okay, so we can just apply the quick fix, remove all unused imports. This will fix this, and then we have this. This is a deprecated API which is used. So let's see what are the quick fix for it. And what could be a fix? Let's see. If Copilot suggesting a new method, it is generating edits. Okay, so you have this fix where you have a new annotation, which is an example object. So this, let's say, keep. So example object has been added, and this could also be fixed. because example object cannot be converted to array of strings because it's an array of object. So this seems good fix. I'll keep it. Now it should resolve the problem. So here we have a string value. So let's say if I remove this, would have solved this. So let me remove these examples for the time being. We'll revisit them later. So now we have removed it. We can also remove this unused. So now this code looks good. We have here example. Let's say if we can apply quick fix here. The schema, this is type integer. A lot of examples are there, but somehow they are deprecated. So we can remove these for time being. And there is suggestions as well. So let's take that suggestions, but this suggestions again giving this error. So let's remove it. And here if we see example, it's again suggesting the old style, which will give some schema errors, but let's remove that as well. So we'll get into that later about the examples, but basically we will look into schema property, and the schema property has a description at the class level. Schema has a description at the level of fields, and we have this descriptions for all the fields in this entity class. So this is what we have to take care of, and it's best practice to include example, but we'll revisit how to put example in the best possible way. For time being, I'll just remove. So basically we are describing what is the schema for the product using a schema annotation, and there's like comments, adding comments to your code, but these comments will be converted to documentation. So that's the advantage, and we have all these fields. I'll show you in the outline view as well about what all we have. So if we look into the outline view, so you see here, these are the fields, ID. Then we have the name. We have validations also. This is validation using Jakarta Bean Validation. So you check for whether product name is not blank. You also check the size of product name. It should be between 1 and 100 characters. And you also check the pattern. Pattern is, it should have lowercase, uppercase, numbers, space, hyphens. These are the symbols which are allowed. It cannot include special characters, etc. So that to prevent any code injection attack, which could be script injection or SQL injection, etc. So some validations are really necessary and good practice. Then we have the description, we have price, we have the SQ. Again, there is a format for it defined by the regular expression, that it should have capital letters, which could be up to 3 capital letters. Then you should have numbers, and then followed by digits and numbers. So you should have hyphen separated numbers. So you have SQ, have format of 3 uppercase letters, then dash, then alphanumeric characters, then dash, then alphanumeric characters. Example like this. So you have this product object with all these fields. So as we learned, first thing is the entity class. Next is we have the service class, where we define the logic, business logic. So here we don't have much business logic. Then we move to the resource. Resource will be the class which is implementing. Here, okay, let me remove the unused imports, and then we come down to again we have a schema for the resource. We have tags here. Tags classify your APIs. They help you group APIs. Then we have some constructor, and then we have the method. And here the operation annotation is very important. It is something which is describing the method. So this is your operation supported by web service. And here you have API responses. This is again annotation which will be used for documentation. So all the responses are documented. And this is get products API. Similarly, we'll look into the outline. So you see that there is a products. Products is in this case a list of products which we have created as an array list. This is simplicity, not for production usage. Then we have product resource, which is a constructor which will be populating the values in the products so that you have some sample content. Then you have get products, which will just return the list of products. And then we have get product by ID. Get product ID again is documented using your operations, and there is some security requirement as well, and which we'll see how it gets converted to documentation. Then we have all the responses documented as well. And then we have create product method as well, which again contains the parameters, which contains API responses and security requirements, and operation is the documentation for it. So you have some Jakarta RESTful web service annotation. For example, get is Jakarta annotation for RESTful web services. Earlier it was called JAX-RS, which is very important specification. I would say the most important specification or most commonly used specification. Path is again coming from JAX-RS or Jakarta RESTful web services. Produces these three are also used in documenting your API, but these are reused from other annotations, and this enables the functionality of RESTful web service. And then you can add additional details which are not there in RESTful web services. For example, operation, which will have just text description about your service. API responses, this is the list of responses which your service will be returning, and this is again coming from OpenAPI annotations. So you can look into the package. So for example, path, if you see, if I go to the path class and look into its import package, so you will get to know that whether it comes from OpenAPI or it comes from Jakarta specification. So as you can see here, the path is coming from Jakarta Web Service, produces query name. These are the annotations which are from the web service annotation and which is used to enable the web service. So that's it. This is a simple service where you have a product resource and you have an entity. So nothing more, no service as such. Just for implementing webhooks, we have the service. But overall, this architecture is very simple to demonstrate web services and their documentation. So now let's look into the documentation. And before that, let's also look into the REST application file where you may have some configuration. Again, here there are some unused packages. We'll just remove them. Okay. So here there is some comments. Then we have an application path which will put the path of the application, then OpenAPI definition. This is a root document object and it contains optional fields like info, title, version, contact, license, right? So this is some details. So you can put your email, etc. here. So let me remove this part, for example. And then let's say here licenses, whatever is the license, we can put here. Then we have here, let's put the URL servers, tags, and then external documentation also we can point to. And security scheme. It does not contain any code. This class is just a marker class which says we have some documentation and we have some description about the APIs. Now let's run this particular web service. So here we see that we have pom.xml because this is the project root. So let's compile this web service. Now web service has been compiled. We can run because the build is successful. This in dev mode. So mvn liberty dev is the command which is used to execute the web service. And it should build the Swagger documentation while it's building the application. So you see here JSON B. These are the packages which are being used. So the configuration which we have used is you can see in the server.xml. This is also an important file. We have started using microprofile. We have used 7.1. We have used here 4.1 as well. Bean validation, CDI. So all these dependencies or features of a runtime is required. We have defined the HTTP port. This is defined in the pom.xml. So if you look into the pom.xml, you will see the properties. So we have the port defined, we have the context root defined. So this is our web service. So we saw pom.xml. This was the main configuration, file build configuration. Then we had here the configuration properties. We saw server.xml. We have this configuration properties. Here scan dot disable. This is actually the property. We should say this as false, so that kind of scans it. We have custom model reader. We have packages to be scanned. So we have various configuration here. We'll learn more about the configuration in the next chapter. But for now, you should only remember that this is by default false. So you don't have to specify it, but just for your training purpose, I'm just showing it that this is required. You can change it to true if you want to disable OpenAPI scanning. In that case, no documentation will be generated. The default value is false, and which I am just sharing here for giving you clarity about this configuration. But it's not needed. We can remove this because this is the default value. But yes, these are other configurations which are required. Now, since our service is running, it's running in 50/50 port. Let's run this and see what is the documentation looking like. So it gives you a good playground for your APIs, and the URL is you have the server host, and then you have to use context OpenAPI UI. This is the default UI, and then you will see there is a Swagger documentation. So you see here microprofile e-commerce store. This is the documentation which is as per 3.1.0. It is as per OpenAPI specification 3.1. And then you have some details which is coming from our tag in the path, application path. This is coming from our REST application class. Okay, so the application class demonstrates microprofile OpenAPI features, and these are the features which is OpenAPI v3.1 specification, JSON 2020 compatibility. So all these we discussed. Now this is the title, microprofile e-commerce store API. So how it's rendered, you see here, microprofile e-commerce store API. This is how it's. Then you have the version 3.1.0. So that's why you have the version here. Then you have the description, which is a markup. This is markdown format description. So that's why you see here e-commerce store API, OpenAPI demonstration, right? So this is, yeah, we can remove this just to make it more look like production API. API demonstrates microprofile alignment with and JSON this. This is the description of this API demonstrate alignment with. For example, like this you can put, and we are running our server in the dev mode. So as I'm changing the code, it is also changes are applied, deployed in real time. So just I need to refresh this page and you will see whatever changes I did will be reflected here. Right, so here we removed that demonstration part and all that. Okay, so key features, so all that we can kind of simplify further. So for example, here we can remove this right. So here we can also remove e-commerce store. Instead of this, we can say product e-commerce store, or we can say product catalog API. Because we have documented already in the title that micro profile e-commerce store. This is our application. Then we have product catalog API. Then there are key features, which is okay. This provides operations to manage products. This is good. We'll keep it. We can remove that part, second part, because that we will be covering in the new features. So key features demonstrating validation, pattern validation. Now let's look into each of these key features. So what are the key features? Number one is your JSON schema 2012 validation. So in that it includes various other validations. One is the pattern validation. So which is and definitely we have used it in multiple places. So for example, in list, this is all about documenting the pattern. So here you see this is the description of application, REST application class. Then we have the servers. Then we have here the authorization, authentication. So if you want to execute and if this API supports authentication, authorization, then we have to provide the API key or token. And then here we can try out the API. So there are various components of this documentation. Number one is your description, then the server, authorization, and then you have here API product. This is Explorer, API Explorer, where you can see the parameters and you can execute the APIs. And this should execute and give me the response. So here you see the response has come, which is this is the response. Correct. So there was an example value provided, but this is what the real response is. So we have 3 products here with all the details there. So you can test the API, you can see the API functioning in real time. So this way, this helps. This is not just a documentation, it is a live documentation which is executable as well. So your developers who are collaborating or who are consuming your REST APIs, they can have good understanding of your APIs, not just from the text, but from seeing it executing. Let's show some more example. Let's add one product. So let's create a new product. Here we will demonstrate more features. So we have to click on try it out. So you have here request body. You can update this. So I'm updating. There is a name of the product. Let's say this product is called Google Pixel, and we have some description like Google Pixel 10, and that's the model. The price, we can say this is 1100. Then you have an SKU. Let's say there is some code like this. Put one more hyphen 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is your request builder. Here you are building the body of the request, putting the JSON values which you would like to store, and then you can execute this particular catalog API, and then you can see the response. Here response is product has been created. So you have these details here as we have filled up. ID 4 is assigned because ID was auto-generated. And now if we run this get products API again, we should see the fourth product. So earlier when we run, we only had 3 products. Then we created the fourth product. And now if I execute this again, let's see how many products are there. So you have Apple iPhone, MacBook Air, Galaxy S24, and now you have got the fourth product as well. So now you see this is live API execution with documentation. So very useful for understanding API, and anytime you create your REST APIs, you should document these. Now let's look into the details of these documentation. So we were talking about pattern validation. So do we have pattern validation? Let's look into this. Otherwise, I'll demonstrate it by adding code. So here we have product, and in the product we have pattern validation. I see. For example, here you have this pattern validation, which is as per regular expression pattern. And this annotation is coming from, as you see, from not from OpenAPI. Pattern validation is coming from Jakarta validations. So it's a standard Jakarta Bean validation. So if you put this pattern validation, there should be a documentation which should be generated for this pattern validation. So let's see what is generated for this schema. So we have a schema here. All the schema items and product schema items are here. So ID, we have description, we have product SKU. So this is what was automatically generated from the pattern validation. So this is there. Then we have numeric constraints, which is minimum, maximum, exclusive, minimum, multiple of. These are the numerical constraints. So minimum we have here. Then in the price, we should have minimum, maximum, exclusive, minimum. That means this is included and multiple of. So these are features which are demonstrated, which are part of OpenAPI 4.1. So this is pattern validation. So let's see if I remove this in the pattern validation, how does this impact? So now let me refresh our microprofile e-commerce API, right? So we'll go to products. So we have still we have here the pattern details. So here it's not coming from your pattern validations automatically detected. From the pattern tag. And let's say if we remove this, so here in our schema for description, no, not for description, for price, we had various tags which are part of, we had various attributes of schema. So here for price, we have multiple of, minimum, maximum, all these documentation coming up. But if we don't put these values, what will happen to the price? So let's refresh this and see again. So we still have price, but this is something which is coming from the pattern from our Jakarta validations. The minimum, maximum. So this is minimum, but what we defined here was minimum, maximum, and exclusive minimum. So here decimal min, we could have put here decimal max and value also like this. Any other annotation which we have, like decimal min, decimal max. So these are the two validations which we should put. Now we can remove these minimum and maximum, but exclusive minimum, this is something which we should so this is inclusive equal to false. We could have here, this is by exclusive. So let's see if I remove this and digits have fractions. So now if I remove this and update Swagger, this happens very fast. So here this is coming from minimum. This is the data type. This is the regular expression format. So let me refresh this and look into the product schema again. So now you see here minimum, maximum, everything is now getting appeared here from the Jakarta validations itself. Now, do we have a pattern match here? No, we don't have the pattern match here. So we see that, okay, how pattern matched validation for strings work, how numerical constraints with exclusive and multiple of works, format specification in 64 double, this we have this format specification double. This could also come from the data type. Let's say if I remove this format specification double, what will happen? It could be auto generated. So now again coming to the schema, so double is automatically generated here. So you don't have to specify this unnecessarily. Because now let's look into the YAML which is generated, because this documentation is generated from a YAML. Now this is the UI, this is the URL, and this gives us the default schema. Now let me look into the product schema here. So we have something called product. Not product resource, the product catalog, and the product. So let's see how this is. So schemas, product request. We should have something like product that should match the case. Yeah, so we have here. Now, if you look into the price, you have maximum, you have exclusive minimum, pattern, format, all these tags automatically getting populated from the data type and from the Jakarta validations. So you don't need to put them if you have the validation in place using Jakarta validation. So now we look into nullable handling. So is there any nullable field already present here? Yeah, you have the description is a nullable. Category is also nullable field. So you have this as null option. And this is handled using not null tag. So here, if I look into, say, for example, description is nullable equal to true is defined here explicitly. Let's look into price. Price is not null, so it's not nullable. But SQU category, there is no such definition about nullable. So if I remove from category this nullable type, let's see what happens. So in the product, we have ID, ID is not nullable. Name is also not nullable. Description is nullable. That's why it's defined as null. Price is not null, so this is not nullable. SQU. So you see here the type is defined as an array of a string and null if a field is nullable. So this is an update in OpenAPI specification. So category category is not nullable because it's not provided as nullable schema. So here let's revert this code and see what happens. Now you see here this is nullable type has been added here. So this is the demonstration of nullable which is handled in JSON schema. So all these features are new features, and as per JSON schema 2020-12, and rich descriptions and examples, read-only properties. So these are also read-only type equal to true. This is read-only property. And if I look into ID, ID has read-only, and then you have here rich descriptions and examples. This is definitely rich descriptions. We have showcased it in the REST application, product REST application class. So you have here rich description, which is form of markdown. It can include link to external documentation as well. So this is what was coming up in our Swagger API. So let's review this again from the top to bottom, because we have covered all the features of so enumeration support. We saw that this is their format specifications. We have seen all these new features. Format specification includes double, int 32, int 64. So this is for double data type, this is for integer data type, and then long data type. Strings with format validations. Which is pattern validation. So not sure if this is different. So let's get this reviewed. So in this class we have, or let's look into the class which is, so here we'll say strings with format validation in Swagger or Open API 3.1. This I want to ask, no update required. What does it mean? And then I will ask, is it different than pattern validation? So there are various formats which is available, which is EML, URI, date, time, UUID, date, time, password. So these are the format specifications. This is as per the JSON schema. So let's see if we have an example for any of these. It's reading into the source code to see if we have such examples. If we are missing, then we'll add that. So yeah, format validation and pattern validation are different. They are complementary. Format validation includes email URI, whereas pattern validation includes patterns, which is regular expression patterns. So we have used this in SKU. So we have this in SKU. Let's look into this. We have a pattern. How about description, URL, so yeah, this is described in a class which is for webhook. So in webhook resource, we have this demonstrated, I believe. So here URL property. Let me look into the outline. This is webhook resource, but we look for the product event. Format is date time. So yeah, here there are examples of formattings or webhook documentation as well. So this is covered already. Now nullable. Proper handling of null values, we looked into it. Enumeration, its product categories, schema level defaults. So you can have a default value as well. So default value is also here covered. Read-only properties are also discussed. So here, rich examples for better documentation. That is what we have to look into. So we have some examples, but they are also showing deprecation warning. So let's look into how this could be improved further. So here, let me ask example field is giving deprecation warning. How can we fix this? Let's make this as a code change as well. I'll put this as agent work so that it will try to modify and fix this. So here it's suggesting for individual properties, remove the deprecated example attribute. For complex objects, keep the class level example with object example in the responses. Now they have fixed it in all the places. And they have used an attribute called example object. Which is in the API response. So this should be in the webhook resource. We have example object. Examples belong at operational or content level, not schema level. So now let's look into the updated example. So for example, here, not schema level, this is at the operation level. So here you see there is an example, simple example. Let's look into delete. And you have an example here. There is a complex example here as well. So subscription to multiple events. So we have one event only. Demonstrate use of multiple examples. This is something very important because if there is a multiple examples for any operation, then this will be available as a drop down field, and this will be interesting in the Swagger documentation. Okay, now we have added multiple examples. So now let's refresh. So we have now into the examples of different subscriptions. So you have here you have a drop down, you can see multiple examples, and this is how it is documented. Now let's look into the product categories as well. So let's look into product. Then we have categories. Categories has the enum support. And when we kind of create a product, so let's look into this. If that experience can be improved. Okay, got it. So earlier the product class didn't add any enumeration, which is product category. So now let's look into the updated documentation. I'll refresh. Where will I see? Let's ask this. We can navigate to the API and categories. Okay, let's in the categories, which is examples, we can say try it out. But yeah, what is it saying? Try out button, look at the categories parameter field. So when we have execute, okay, here get. So here there is a drop down of this is perfect. So this demonstrates the use of type safe categories. So now is there any advantage of using manual enumeration over Java enums? Let me just ask this, because otherwise we'll replace the product with category. For your product category use case, Java is the clear winner because categories are fixed business concepts, type safety, prevents bugs, better developer experience. Values are fixed and known at compile time. You want compile times type safety. This is a great best practice that, okay, if you want to have a tenant specific or dynamically loaded category, then we go with the manual enumerations. Otherwise, we will go with the type safe enumeration, Java enums. So I will update product category, product .java to use Java enum and remove separate example product with category. So this is what I want to do, because why do have two different product classes, entity classes? Let me put this in the here is our so here we have now the complete Swagger documentation. Let's review this. This will give us the complete clarity. So here we have microprofile e-commerce store. We have the product catalog API. API provides operations. This fine. Then we have format specification. We have seen all this. API operations are get all products, get product by ID, create new products, search with multiple filters and paginations. So this is our search. Search has multiple filters. We can put category, we can put price, we could put the string, and we can execute this to get the response. So you have the validation as well in place. Now, let's fix this. So it's trying to fix. Okay, so let's try this again. Now we have got the response of all the items which are of category electronics. Now this is great. So we have product async, process products asynchronously. How do we try it out? So here we have callback URL. So here we may ask how to test product async Okay, copy the unique URL. So this is a great way to test webhook. So there are some error, we'll fix it. So this is a great way to kind of test webhook. So because so yeah, that's the issue, because here the category is not the product category. It was the JSON. So that's why we had the internal server error. So this should be fixed now. With example object. Now let's refresh this. Here I can update. So let's say try it now. Here I can update my unique ID. So here 202 request is received, and so here we should receive some callback. So now I'm adding the REST client feature. So REST client 4.0 has been added. This will be now updated. Now let's see if we need to restart the server or not. But let me execute this. I will refresh my Swagger UI. So single source of truth, same schema for better tooling, more precise validation, improved interoperability, code generation. So all this we will remove. So let's go through it. But now since I have updated this request, let me fix that as well. So let's try it out. And I go here, I will put the callback. And execute it. And if I go to the test site, or let's look into, let me restart this. Let's rebuild it. Let me execute this. We have some errors. We can try fixing it. This will ensure our callback will work. Now I'm testing webhook using the webhook receiver JavaScript code. Come